Hi, I'm Brooke Riemann, and this is my History of Special Education Timeline PowerPoint. This is my first time ever using Screencast-O-Matic, so hopefully I do okay. I'm not very comfortable with using PowerPoint either, so hopefully it turns out okay. This is my first slide right here that shows kind of the timeline of the 6 major events that I'm going to talk about for this assignment. So the first one that I have is Brown versus Board of Education, which was in 1954. I chose this one because this was kind of where it started, in my opinion. This case ruled that segregation in schools was unconstitutional, thereby making it illegal for schools to separate students on the basis of race. And after that is kind of when parents started to be concerned that maybe their child was being discriminated against, not necessarily because of race, but possibly because of other differences, mental kind of things, or just disabilities. So after that, it was really kind of a defining moment in that. Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 is the second major event that I chose. This act was created to help ensure that all children, including those who are underprivileged, have the same equal opportunities for education. So this is kind of where... Okay, sorry, hopefully my video didn't cut out. I'm kind of going back and forth between my slide and my notes here, and I hit the pause button because I lost my place. So the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, just to kind of repeat, this act was created to help ensure that all children have the same equal opportunities for education. This was kind of Congress saying there are children being treated unequally, and we need to address that. Underprivileged children, basically. And then a year later, in 1966, the act was amended to include children with disabilities, including learning disabilities. And so this is to include them. My next one that I chose is the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This law was put into effect to protect individuals with disabilities from being discriminated against. And so this was kind of not necessarily relating to education. This was kind of more on a broad scale. People with disabilities maybe being denied jobs, or just feeling that they're being denied the rights, or maybe even just the respect that they deserve. So I chose this as one of my major events because I think it was a big step towards people getting equal treatment, basically. So my next one I chose is the Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975. This one is very much related to the last event. This was 2 years later, and so this one is really relating more to the educational side of equality, and specifically children. So before this law, children with disabilities did not have the same opportunities that other students had. They were often even denied education just based off their disability. My next one that I chose is the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, the revision of this. And I'm not 100% positive on the date. I put 1997. I did find, I can't remember which source it was, but somewhere I found that it said it was actually in 1990 that this revision happened. So I'm not positive on the date, but I believe it was 1997. That's what I put, and I apologize if that's incorrect. So EHA was revised and becomes what we now call it, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, so IDEA. At this time, the revisions included that IEPs are a necessary part of the intervention plan for special education students, and I think that's very important because I know at my job working in a school, I hear a lot about IEPs, and I know that that really helps these children get what they need. It is specifically tailored to that student and their particular needs and what's going to help them and help them achieve their goals and what they need to get the best education. And then my last specific event that I chose, I kind of paraphrased, but I said it's Changes to Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which took place in 2004. So IDEA is again revised, and it combined with the No Child Left Behind Act that President Bush enacted in 2002. It's officially known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004. And changes include a high emphasis on reading and early intervention. And this is particularly important to me, I guess, because it's, in my opinion, the most recent change to special education, and also because this really relates to me and what I do in my job. My official title is an interventionist, so I work with kids, and I know the whole process of trying to get them referred for special services, and that it's all about data, and they have to have all this data and progress monitoring to see if that's really what they need or if changes can be made just from intervention. So it's very important. And then next, my prediction for 20 years from now, kind of hard to say. Definitely, I think more revisions will be made. I kind of said as time goes on, more students are going to go through special education, more data. Data is so important. More data is going to be present, and that's really going to help lawmakers kind of decide what works, what doesn't, what kind of changes do we need to make, what do we need to consider. I'm thinking it's likely that we'll have better assessment tools and also maybe faster methods for getting students recognized and referred for services. I know something that I always hear constantly at the school is that students have to have so much data before they can be referred for services. And it's frustrating because we see students who we know need to be in services, but because we don't have that data yet, we can't get them the help that they need. So hopefully in the future we can have a way that makes it a little bit easier for teachers and makes it easier on the student to get the help that they need. Also, some of the research that I read through says that in the future, as technology advances, that special education will advance with that. And so we might have some technology that can make learning easier for students with disabilities, especially ADHD or dyslexia, anything like that. And there's my last slide, and that's just my sources that I used. So I used the History of Special Education Law. That was kind of a handout, and then the rest was just research I did on my own. I found a lot of stuff online, a lot of really, really good information out there. So that's basically all I have. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and thank you for your time.